Hi everybody. Today I'm going to show some of the third person function we need to improve. Previously we created a third person, basic third person character. So this is a third person character. When we move our character is also moving, and it's look like kind of not perfect. So I go to the shuffle character and select the self shuffle character and untick the use control rotation. Now compile and save. Now if we move our character is still, but if we press W, then it will move like a funny position, which is not okay. So we need to fix that. For that, select character movement, and from details search orient rotation to move. It is unticked by default, just tick it. Now if we play, we can rotate our camera and press W, and our character will go that position, and we can move our position like this whenever we move in our camera. So there is also other function we can improve. For example, we have our walking and running problem. Currently we only run, so I add a press right button and add a caps lock. I add a variable, I name it also caps lock. The variable type is boolean. Now I add it with the press and release to the set, and on the press it's I tick it, it's true. Now I add a branch and move forward move and right move, and the condition is caps lock, and I drag and drop the character movement. Now on the character movement we have many function like match walk speed. On default it's 600, and now get it now search match walk speed, we can add it as a set. On default it's have 600 value I told, but we can set the value by as our own. So when we press the caps lock, we just walk, I give the value to 300, and I copy the set maths walk speed again, and I if it's false then it's 600. So on default we will walk run, but if we press caps lock we just walk, and we release it, we just run normal speed. Caps lock off, on we walk, off we run. Now go to the shuffle character again, and I add a sequence here. S mouse left button, and we can add a sequence, otherwise we can right button and search. So I add a variable again, and I name it left shift or shift or run. The basic thing is when we press shift, our character will run very speedily. So I name it run, and I copy the whole of this, and I add it with 1. I just change the name, variable type run, and for working that variable I search right button and search left shift, and there is also to pressed and released option. I tick it, I make it true. So when we press it, the value should be 1200, and when it's false it's 600. So it's normal walking, but if we press shift we will move very speedily, like 1200 value. If we release shift it's normal run, if we press shift it's very speedy run. So that's the change you can do also. Now we have one camera, third person camera, but if we want we can add another camera. I just add a camera, and I name it first person camera. You can name whatever you prefer. Now we cannot add any parent socket, but we need to add a socket, or we can choose a skeleton bone. So I want to add a socket in head. I just search the head. This is the head. Right button, add a socket, and I name it first person camera. You can choose any name as I told before. And I just drag and drop the camera to the mesh. And now on the parent socket I add first person camera. So it have default 90 value and I make it 0. So I rotate like this. On rotation z axis 90, and on the x axis I should also give minus 90. So here is the x position, so I give minus 90. Also I can make it a little bit forward, like 12 or 20 or 70 value on the y-axis. I think that's fine for a first person camera. So I add a key, I add a C key. So when we press C, we will go to the first person camera, and when we press C again, we will go to the third person camera, and press C again, we go to the first person camera. Select the first person camera and untick the auto active, otherwise it won't work. So I add the C, and I add the spring arm camera, set active. By default, when we press the C, it will unactive. I didn't click the new active, so I add the new active again and add the first person camera. Now the new active is true. So in here I add another function called flip flop. We used flip flop previously. So what it does, you know what it does. When you press one time it go A, another time it go B, another time it go A. So I copy it and paste it, and I just reverse it. Third person camera will be active and first person camera will be inactive. So now we walk in and press in C, and it is now we can see the first person camera view. And when we press C again, we can see the third person. We can press C and see the first person view again. So we can change one function in first person camera, and that is use point control rotation. So we can use this is very stable way, like we can look up and down. We can look up and down and see right and left. So it's feel like a very first person mode. We can use this camera function to feel like first person. So this is for today's tutorial. I hope to see you next tutorial.